My 365 Podcasts with me, Pete Cohen. Hi, and welcome to another My 365 podcast. Thank you so much for all of you that have been listening and spreading the word. This podcast is doing incredibly well. We're number one on a variety of lists, iTunes list. We're number one in health, number one in business, number two in education. And these stories are inspiring people all over the world. And I have to thank you so much. If you're new here and this is the first one you've listened to, well, just sit back. A lot of the podcasts we do are interviews with people who aren't necessarily famous, even though some of them are, but people who have a story to tell, people who believe that their best years, best days are ahead of them. And if you're that sort of person, then you've come to the right place. Today, I want to talk to you about purpose and ikigai. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking, ikigai, what's that? Well, listen, you're going to find out. As far as purpose is concerned, when you work with people, the people who tend to be the most happiest, the most fulfilled, they're the ones who have a burning desire to do something with their life. And my goal with my 365 is to inspire people all over the world for them to find their purpose, for them to add fuel to their purpose. But for me, I first really came across the subject, or I became much more aware of the importance of it after reading the book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, many of you know I'm a massive fan of that. I hadn't read that book. I kind of neglected that book for many years because of the title. The title put me off, Think and Grow Rich. And I always used to think, money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money isn't for me. But even so, I don't think that anymore. But the book isn't really about growing rich. It's about growing. And the book is based on 500 interviews of the most successful people, probably of all time. People like Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, people who really shape the way we live our lives today, from using the phone, from driving the motor car, from switching on a light. And you can learn so much from this book. It's a book that is based on success principles. I mean, me personally, I've written 17 books myself. And I'd say, look, my books are great, but read Think and Grow Rich first if you're really looking for a guide or you're really looking for a way to improve your life right now, right here, today. And so many of those principles, even though the book came out in 1937, stand true today. And of his 17 major principles, the first major principle is the definiteness of purpose. So I have to ask you, how many of you have a burning desire? How many of you, every day you wake up, there's something that you're really passionate about and that you work on all the time? Now, when my wife was very sick, not long ago, my wife was given 18 months to live. And my parents brought me up to believe there's an answer to everything. And my dad has always told me it's not what you know, it's who you know. And thankfully, those things really stood me well because I immediately got on the phone and spoke to a few people. And one of them said, hey, find people that are still alive and find out why, find out what they did. And then I spoke to someone else and he said, ask her what she's going to do when she gets better. And my burning desire for her to live was incredible. There was nothing that you could do to put that out. And I have to tell you this story because I'm asking you, how many of you have a burning desire? I've worked with many athletes, many Olympic athletes, and you can imagine so many of them have an incredible burning desire. But what is so interesting is for so many of them that they go into a depression when they stop competing because they don't know what to do with their lives. And it's like, of all the things that we're taught in school, not many of them are particularly useful, but having a sense of purpose, for me, the way I look at it is we were all born with a seed or seeds to grow, to make a difference to the world. Call me altruistic, call me super positive. I don't really know, but I know there's a burning desire inside all of us. When you were a child and someone said, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? I don't know. Maybe you said, I want to be a soldier. Maybe you said, I want to be. In fact, I've worked with many soldiers who wanted to be one as a child. And then their dream came true. They became a soldier. And then when they finally left, I remember talking to a few not that long ago and asking, do you still have a burning desire to do something else? And many of them don't. So it's not like we should only ever have one. Many people's burning desire is to be a great mother or father, but then their children leave home and then they don't often know what to do with their lives. Now, your burning desire could be as simple as making great cakes, or they could be just to rid the world of poverty. But this is what the Japanese call ikigai. Now, retirement. Who invented retirement? Well, I'll tell you. It was invented in 1889 in Germany. And the life expectancy in 1889 was about 67. So retirement, 65. So people retired from their work and then they have 2 years to enjoy themselves because, they were working. You might not know the origins of work. That was invented by the Romans, and often it was invented for people as a form of punishment. So they could get people to do the things they didn't really want to do. And that's the sad reality for a lot of people. A lot of people do a job that they don't really enjoy. They just do it because they have to do it. It was never anything they were really passionate about. But in Japan, they don't have a word for retirement. At the time, it was a good idea because people would retire at 65 and there were a younger generation of people that they could come into the job market. But the idea spread and retirement became something that is now all over the world. But like I say, in Japan, they don't have a word for retirement. They have a word called ikigai. Now, ikigai, in its translation, means the reason for getting up in the morning. And you'll often see that people live longer in Japan than they live in most countries. And many people say that's because they have an ikigai. They have a reason for getting up every day. And maybe their reason is to do their Tai Chi or their martial arts, or it's to hold their grandchild, or just to do work in the garden, but something that gives them a purpose, a deeper meaning. Now, many of you know from My 365 and the daily life coaching we do on Periscope, on Facebook, that one of our goals is to help people self-actualize. Now, what does that mean? Well, Abraham Maslow, who was a psychologist, very well known, he came up with the hierarchy of needs. And the basis of our needs is having a roof over our head, safety, financial subsistence, self-esteem, and then really at the top is self-actualization, feeling that you know what you're doing in your life, that you're contributing in some way, shape, or form. Now, my goal for all of you in your life, or wherever you are listening to this in the world, is to understand that most of us, or maybe even all of us, have the same purpose, but we just don't tap into it. I look at it like one purpose, many missions. In life, you'll have many missions, but I believe, and maybe it's up to you, you don't have to agree with everything that we say, but I think we're on this earth to contribute, to make a difference. I've met people who have so much money, so much fame, so much fortune, and many of those people aren't particularly happy. It seems that human beings can be most fulfilled when they're making a difference to other people's lives. And perhaps the biggest difference we can make to someone else's life is the difference that we make to our own. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, listen, if you're in good shape, if you're happy, if you're confident about who you are, if you're healthy, you will make a difference to the people that you come into contact with. Would you not agree that the world needs more people to have a burning desire to make a difference to other people's lives? We seem to have created a world where so many people are just more interested in what people think about them. We're more interested in what someone's wearing, what car they're driving, how big their house is, rather than being more interested in making a difference to the world. Now, I'm sorry if the tone of this podcast is a little down, but maybe this will lift your spirits to make you realize that we all have it within our capacity, within our capabilities to rediscover our purpose or to create a new one. The world needs us to show up. My goal from My 365 is to help so many of you create a better future for yourself, but not just for you, but for the next generation. So what's your ikigai? Your ikigai could be anything you wanted it to be. You could write it down every day and just look at it. What is my purpose for the day? What is it that I want to focus on today? What is it? It's much more than just a to-do list. It's more about having a deeper sense of what you can do and the difference that you can make. I appreciate every single one of you that listens to our podcasts. Make sure if you like them, you make comments. We've got some unbelievable interviews. And when you listen to them, be curious yourself as to what is the ikigai. In fact, you know what? I'm going to start asking all of our guests what their ikigai is. Now, I know when I ask them what their ikigai is, most of them are going to go, I don't know what an ikigai is. But we will tell them. And maybe we'll have people all over the world that never retire, that keep on making a difference and realizing that life is so much more than what it is. It can be so much better. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate you. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. And remember, get your ikigai in order. Hey, guys. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take a few moments to write a comment and share it. Let's get this information out there to as many people as possible. Stories really do change lives. So please, write some comments, share it, and let's change the world. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and if you want more free inspiration to optimize your life so you can achieve your goals in all the different areas of your life, then visit my365.me. That's mi365.me and sign up to 365 days of free coaching with me, Pete Cohen. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.